Hello, and welcome to my documentary. Obviously, as you can tell, this is on the Silent Hill franchise. We all know this as a psychological horror franchise made by a Japanese company, Konami, and Team Silent. And we know this franchise has had somewhat of a legacy, getting a movie in 2006 and pretty much being ghosted after 2014. We can definitely tell where this series has been. And by that logic, that definitely means this series is dead. Definitely. So, without further ado, I want to documentate this series and start off from the start, and then let's do this. Alright, so our beginning begins in the late 90s, where a company named Konami and Team Silent, obviously if you already know, were working on a new horror game. But instead of doing what Capcom was doing with Resident Evil or Dino Crisis or anything like that, they wanted to do something different, and that was by, you guessed it, a psychological horror franchise. I don't know much about pre-production on this game, but I do know the basics on it. After that came out, after that was in development, I need to correct myself. So, yeah, they were releasing it, obviously on the PS1, because, well, the PS1 was just the best console to release a horror game on. That didn't mean you couldn't use the Dreamcast or Nintendo 64 at the time. I guess it just meant the PS1 was just better. But yeah, you had that. Obviously it came out and it was surprisingly a success. It even made tons of sales in North America and everywhere else too, like Europe, I'm sure. I'm not even sure if it really even made any sales in Africa, but I can assume it did. And I did not forget about South America. So yeah, after that was a success, they were working on a sequel. Surprisingly, work on this sequel pretty much started right at the end of Silent Hill 1. And instead of being a PS1 game, this would be released on the, at the time, newly revealed PS2. And obviously you can see where I'm going with my wording choice at the time. So yeah, after this was in production, they sort of instead of making on the same guy, I'm sure like the last one was, they made it on a newer guy. And obviously, I'm not going to really tell you much about it. It's apparently the best game in the franchise. So yeah, after that comes out, it's also a success. They get a third and fourth game in the series for also for PS2. And funny enough, I believe the second game was also released for the Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe the fourth and third game, I'm not sure. But I do know they were originally PS2 games. And then we get some side games. Yeah, some side games. As you can tell, this is an incredibly long franchise. Lots of games. And then 2008, we get Silent Hill Homecoming. And a lot of this game was questionably not good, and it had really bad reviews, really bad ones. One of the major criticisms was that a lot of the psychological details, they didn't fit in with him. It was also apparently the gameplay was just clunky, and yeah. And then we get another one, which again is a side game, and that's Silent Hill Shattered Dreams, or what was it again? Yeah, and that one gets better reviews than the last one, apparently. And then we jump 2 years later in 2012, and we get Silent Hill Downpour, which surprisingly this didn't really release to the worst reviews. It still released to bad reviews, but they weren't as bad. And then, of course, you have a few more side games, obviously PT, which PT, you can't even get it anymore. They removed it from PlayStation Store years ago. In 2014, Gilmer D, what was his name? And His name was Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima. Anyways, yeah, we cut to the present day, or not present day. We cut to them, or not cut. We don't cut to them doing anything. I'm so sorry. Again, I'm tired today. So yeah, they're working on Silent Hills, and in 2015, obviously, they pulled the plug on it.
We heard shots. Is everything okay? Sergeant Roberts, what is going on?
Gentlemen, welcome to Dubai.